Good morning, it's Artzenin. Hey there. So, I was sick. I was supposed to have an update for you all on Friday. Sorry about that. I was sick. I'm better now. So what I wanted to talk about today is the new changes that has affected the stories again. So do you all remember me talking about how Project Shot and Project Hill were going to combine, and I had mentioned that Sean in Project Hill, that he would see Rinoa again, that I was going to allow Elohim to show him his deceased wife, bring her in her glorified state and their child to him, because there is biblical proof that I can do that. I need to be very careful and provide the scripture so nobody freaks out, because he's not talking to his dead wife in that way. His living former wife, who is now just a person, she's not, legally his anymore. She would just be considered a sister, especially after he dies and he goes on to be with the Lord. They're just brother and sister. They're not romantically involved like that. Well, Yahweh gave me a vision and said, yeah, what you had going was cute. We're going to change it. So in the original, Samaj came in and this is a spoiler, so sorry, but there's no getting around it. I have to say it to update what is going on. And this is my vlog and commentary. I'm going to do these things. I'm not trying to tick anybody off, but this is helpful for me, because when I rewatch these vlogs, it's a archive of information and it helps me keep things focused. I will put a spoiler alert in the caption so people know that. I will start doing that and go back to other videos as I rewatch them. If I think it's a spoiler, I'll put a spoiler alert for the people who don't want the surprises ruined. So sorry in advance if I have been ruining it for you. But again, my vlog, my commentary, it's important that I do these things. Originally, Rinoa was murdered by her former fiance, Samaj, Portland. First, he murdered the baby, the newborn. And his thinking was, if I can't have you, nobody can. He was demon possessed. So the demon through him murdered her and the child. As she was dying, she saw Elohim, and they explained to her, you have to come. We're not going to spare you. You're going to come upstairs. You're going to come home to Shayayim. She didn't want to leave. She wanted to stay. And in her mind, which they can hear her mental thoughts, it's the spiritual realm at that point. I mean, she is dying. She said, what about Sean? They're like, he has to stay. We have plans for him, but you got to go. So she kisses him and says, live. I can't stay. They've come. I see them. And Sean's looking over his shoulder like, see who? He can't see. I mean, she's spiritually enlightened and adept anyway. But I mean, when you're leaving, ejecting, you're going to see the spiritual realm full blown, okay? It's a thing. Read Enoch. Well, my plan that I thought the Lord wanted was she was going to kiss him, die, tell him to live again, that she was sorry, and not to hate the Lord for what was being allowed to happen. And he's holding her, and she's bleeding out all over the floor. The baby's already dead, decapitated. I mean, it's pretty graphic. What he did to the baby was absolutely wrong, but it had to happen because this is what demons do. I'm showing people the difference between a terrestrial and a celestial. A fallen celestial, which is in this species, this celestial is a seraphim, a demon, a devil, was lusting over Rinoa through Samaj. You have to read Tobit for this to make more sense. And Tobit is the book they threw away before you get to Jonah. But it's a direct link there. Jonah is the prophet, the Navi that was coming to Nineveh, and these descendants of Nephilim, they were targeted and they ran into the woods. But yeah, you just have to read it, because the woman was getting possessed. She was a Christian, but getting forcefully possessed by this lust devil that felt because she had Nephilim blood that was his property. No. But that's what he thought, and he had free will just like you do and I do and everything else. So he was jealous of her husbands. Every husband she got, before they could even have intercourse, that demon would possess that poor woman and make her strangle her husband. So they never even had their wedding nights. Every man that she found, this demon that was jealous and evil, would forcefully possess her. And she's like, Yahweh, what am I doing wrong? I keep the law of Moshe. I think it's Moshe. Moses, Hebrew. I struggle with names. She was very upset and she was emotional. So Raphael was sent down to Tobias. And Tobias sent Tobit. And Tobit helped her. And that demon did not want to leave. But with the power of the Lord and with that guardian seraphim, he ran into Egypt, they found him, and he left. So this demon, I'm just using a story that's already happened. He wanted Rinoa, and we still have Nephilim blood. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but we do still have Nephilim blood. It's just asleep. And I know that to be true because of Tobit, because they were descendants of Nephilim and they kept reproducing. So, I mean, watch your incident, Genesis 3, go read it, and then go read Jonah, and then go read Tobit. I mean, people can't deny it. We still have angel blood. It's just not as active. It's not as present. Anyway, that same concept is happening with Rinoa. And this demon was very jealous and hated Sean, and even though Sean is her proper species to be with, because Yahweh didn't want the seraphim to reproduce or to have intercourse with us. He wanted only the humans, the terrestrials, to do that. She was with her proper species, but he wasn't having it. Sean was going to go to Exposed Hill just to find the murder demon that did this and confront him and think he could kill him back. That's not how it works, but he's in his flesh. He's hurt. He's wounded. He has to do something. He can't stand it anymore, etc. He's just a hot mess. So he thought if he took Rinoa's journal that talked of Exposed Hill, went there, he isn't there because he's trying to expose the fact that he murdered Samaj, which was his Avon, his iniquity. He's there because he wants to find the true source. He's also spiritually enlightened. He knows the word. He knows that he did evil and wrong. He does not care. His wife and child, in my edition, has been taken from him, but he still felt the need to take out the guy who did it, but it wasn't enough. He still had to go after the evil spirit that did this to him, but he didn't, originally he didn't walk in there with that drive. It comes to him later. He meets Druis, who takes the form of the image of his deceased wife. And it was Druis who said, "What are you looking for?" And he tells Druis, I don't know. It's just, my wife has this journal and I'm here and it's Exposed Hill, right? We are at Exposed Hill. She goes, "Yes, this is Exposed Hill." So he tells Druis he's frustrated and angry that the man murdered his wife and child, and he'd give anything to find that evil spirit. And she says, "I can help you. I can take you to the place here at Exposed Hill where that demon is." Sean, he's like, "Yes, please do it." He's not even testing this woman. His wife is dead and she looks identical, and he's not thinking. He's reacting emotionally. You have to remember that Sean Prutney is the Christian version of James Sunderland. Silent Hill, Exposed Hill are similar, but very, very different. So he's not trying to get up with Druis. He doesn't like her. He's not lusting after her. But he's just not jarred by the fact that Druis is identical in her appearance to Rinoa. At Exposed Hills Hotel, there is a room. And in that room, it's for all the saints. When Rinoa was alive, the Lord allowed her to go up to Shayayim. Enoch did it. Levi did it. Paul did it. These people got taken up to Shayayim and they saw the celestial beings there. They did that. It's in scripture. So I was going to allow this room to be like that portal jump to where these beings are. And it was a privilege. And Rinoa, when she was alive, before she had been murdered, again, this is my edition, not the new one that I'm about to tell you. Elohim was gonna take her to that room. But when she approached it for herself, he stopped her. Yahweh, that part of Elohim, Yahweh says, no, you can't go in there yet. And Rinoa asked him, so what's up with this room? Why can't I go in there? That's the room for the saints. That's the room for other celestial beings. Can I meet them? She asked. He goes, well, when you die, you can go there. But if I wanted you to see them now, it would be because it's a privilege and I would allow it. But right now is not the time, Rinoa. I'm sorry. Either you're already dead and I'm going to allow you to be taken into spirit like Paul and Enoch and Levi, or you are just simply in Shayayim and you'll see them there. She was okay with this response. It didn't bother her. But Sean wanted in that room because he thought, my wife is saved. I want to go see her. So he thought he could go in that room. But at the end of Exposed Hill, when he goes in that room, he sees Enoch. And prior to meeting Enoch, he was certain that his wife would have been a saint. So he's like, where's my wife? Why isn't she here? And then Ruah, Yeshua, and Yahweh come up beside Enoch and they explained, she's not here because she's somewhere else. And Sean didn't understand this because this is where Yahweh's idea comes in, the new edition. My edition was she was in that room. He did meet her in her glorified form and their little girl. He knew where they were at. And by that point, he had also repented of his evil and his sin, and he let go of the murder demon, and he was fixed by the time he got to go into that room. So Rinoa's in the room now, the very room she wanted to go in because she was curious, but because she physically died and she did become a saint, she was finally in that room. But for Sean, when he went in the room, in my edition, she was there in her glorified state with their child. But in Yahweh's edition, she's not there. They took her to Redemption Circus. She's alive. Because in Yahweh's edition, where I had her bleeding out, in her heart beats. Yes, she's losing blood, but he hears her heartbeat and he grabs her and he calls the emergency number that would be in Ireland because that's where they live. He got her to the hospital. Her brain activity is fine, but the machine is helping her breathe. So she's in a coma. And they don't have high hopes for her at all. I mean, her brain is okay, but she's not waking up. She's not responsive. So when Sean gets to Exposed Hill and at the end of his journey, he gets into that saint's room at the hotel and he met Enoch, he only recognized Enoch because the Lord gave him the ability to know. Kind of like when the disciples were walking around when Christ had been resurrected and they didn't know who the man was, but there was a fire that burned in them and they kind of knew but didn't know. And then when the man left, they said, did our spirit not burn when we spoke with him? It's something like that. He only recognized Enoch because the Lord gave him the ability to recognize Enoch. Plus Rinoa wrote about Enoch. She didn't know what he looked like, but when he looked at him for the first time, it's like, you're him. You're the man my wife wrote about. And Enoch said, the woman you are looking for is not here. He didn't really want to believe that. So he got told by Elohim directly, no, she's not here. And this points to Snowclaw's story, Redemption Circus, because when Sean comes out of Exposed Hill, he doesn't have the Rinoa's journal. It's gone. And then another character found her journal in his hotel room and he read it and it helped him. He took it to the front desk and that character left Exposed Hill. And then that seraphim lifts up the book and goes, here, Lord. And they take Rinoa's journal and they throw it in front of Husk. and he's from Redemption Circus. This is going to be great. I'll see you later. Much love. Bye.